Hello, welcome to the Zenshin Self-Defense Academy, and I decided to step outside today. I think this video is going to be quite long, and for those of you who actually watch any of my videos know that I tend to ramble, I tend to digress, I tend to repeat myself consistently, and just basically say stupid shit that doesn't have anything to do with whatever I'm talking about. So beware of that. I have consistently maintained training and teaching, even though I haven't made videos in a while. I have started to begin to post some of my classes again. I'm pretty sure that there's only a couple people that actually watch them. As a matter of fact, I talked to those two people recently, and I don't get much views, but I'll be honest, people watching my videos is not why I post it. Not really. I mean, would I like that? Sure I would. I would love for people to watch my videos. I would like for people to like them, not just click the like, but I mean actually like them and find value in them. The couple people that do watch them actually enjoy them and find value in them, or they wouldn't be watching them, obviously. Most people just aren't, they're not where I am. We'll put it that way. They're not at my level. Whether that level is way down here or way up here or somewhere in between, it doesn't really matter. My personal view of it, they're not where I am. Their experiences are not my experiences. So I do train systems that are widely considered fake and ridiculous. Won't deny that at all. Aikido, as it is normally trained in a regular fluffy version, is unrealistically not adapted to physical conflict on the street, which is all I care about. I could give a rat's ass about titles and belts and looking pretty and flowing, not real flow, but I mean where it looks like it, prearranged, that sort of thing. I could give a rat's ass about that shit. I've had many people tell me that what I do just looks like sloppy judo, and that just tells me that person's never been in a real fight, because everything looks sloppy in a real fight. If you're fighting somebody who is just off the street, it's all sloppy. Nothing is prearranged. You don't have those pretty throws. People don't roll out of it and poof, poof, poof like you see. That shit doesn't happen in real life. Rolling and falling isn't done for any other reason than to maintain control and keep yourself from being hurt. You're not rolling out of it because the person throwing you makes you roll. You do it so that you don't get hurt. Got nothing to do with the other person. Now, on the street, those idiots don't know that. They haven't learned how to roll and fall. So when they hit the ground, I mean, it's rough because they don't have the sense to roll out of it. So anyway, I do train Aikido, but I train my Aikido. Even the Aikido that I trained when I was being taught wasn't fluffy bunny Aikido. It just wasn't. Now, in my older age, I have lightened up. I don't have the need nor the desire to be as mean and rough as I used to do when I was younger. I just don't. I can still make it effective without it being super violent. Now, the fluffy version of it, we can train that. There's no reason not to train it if we want to, just as long as we understand that this isn't how it's going to really work in real life. But I get a lot of crap from people who say, well, that would never work. That just would never work. That's ridiculous. Well, my responses to that is simple. Well, it may not work for you, which is okay, because I didn't train for 47 years to develop something that works for you. I trained for 47 years to this point, and continue to do it for stuff that works for me. I could effectively use Aikido. As a matter of fact, I have effectively used Aikido in real life street situations, and I've talked about those situations many, many times. I've broken a person's kneecap in a competition. I broke a person's kneecap in a real actual street fight. I used Aikido, a Koshinage, a hip throw, and I knocked a person unconscious, and he crapped himself. And when we was dragging him back in, we had to drag him back in because he was still unconscious. He got 3 broken ribs, knocked him unconscious, and he crapped himself. And that's from Aikido. And you say Aikido doesn't work. Well, Aikido may not work for you, but it sure in the fuck works for me. I know for a fact. Now, I have here this little scroll paper that I made, and it's basically my genealogy of martial arts. Now, a lot of people think belts are important. I'll be honest. I have a couple black belts. I never purposely intended to dedicate myself to getting a black belt. My purpose was to gain the knowledge and the skill of it. Just black belts came with it on occasion. But I have 2 black belts, one in Kijitsu Kai Aikido. I'm a 4th degree black belt in that. And then Zenshin Aikijitsu, I say I'm a 6th degree black belt. A couple years ago, I could have actually been promoted to 7th degree, but I've just never concerned myself with it. Maybe I will, just for shits and giggles, just because, it does look nice on a piece of paper, even though no one believes it. I actually had a guy come into my school, true story. Guy come into my school, his daughter was being bullied, and he wanted me to train her. And I said, sure, not a problem. And then he asked me what belt rank I was, and I told him, I said, well, I have a 4th degree black belt in Kijitsu Kai Aikido. And he kind of Aikido, and I said, before you overlook that, I said, Kijitsu Kai Aikido is a little different than the Fluffy Bunny Aikido. But regardless, I don't teach Kijitsu Kai Aikido. I teach my version of it, which I may or may not discuss, but regardless. And then I said, well, I'm also a 6th degree black belt in Zenshin Aikijitsu. And he scoffed at me, and actually went to the guy who actually owns the gym that I teach and train at, and questioned my legitimacy as a 6th degree black belt in Kijitsu Kai Aikido, which, I'll be honest, pissed me off. I'm okay that he didn't believe me, but he wouldn't even step on the mat. I'm like, well, come on out. I'm like, I'll be glad to let you test that theory, but he wouldn't do it. He never came back. His daughter didn't come back, and more power to him. Regardless. But I am, whether anyone wants to admit it or accept it, I am a 6th degree black belt in Kijitsu Kai, or 4th degree in Kijitsu Kai Aikido, and 6th degree in Zenshin Aikijitsu. Although, if I really wanted to, I could probably get that 7th degree without any trouble. Doesn't mean shit to me. I do like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like the idea of it. It's just the belt thing doesn't really matter to me. The only belt that matters is that middleweight cage rage fight title that I earned in 2002 when I fought in mixed martial arts. I fought in cage rage and won the middleweight title. Now that belt, there's still a lot of pride attached to that, even though it's in a box in a closet, which it is in a box in a closet. it still means a lot to me. So, and people can say I suck as a fighter, which is okay. I don't care. I've even had people say that I've never fought in MMA before, that I was not a cage fighter. And they say that on my YouTube channel that actually has some of my cage fights on it. So clearly they don't watch my channel before they start talking shit. But this is my genealogy. I will talk about it quickly. And I'll say this. A lot of people put a lot of stock into genealogies of people's backgrounds of martial arts. But honestly, it's not the genealogy or the system that really matters. It's the individual that's doing it. I say this, and this is my point of view. I don't care whether you agree with me or not. A very skilled person can train a shitty martial art and still gain abilities and skills, and a shitty person can train a really good martial art and get nothing. So it's not the art that matters, it's the individual. That's my personal opinion, and I'm standing by it. But I have trained Matsumura style Shorin-ryu, two different lines of that. Ray Murphy and Larry Martin are the. I got a big, huge thing here. I began in 1978 with Ray Murphy, and then I moved in the mid 80s to Larry Martin, and with that I found Kali, and I started training that, and I did train the Sikaran system, which was it's not the Filipino Sikaran, which is kind of a taekwondo for the Filipinos. Sikaran was a military martial art when I was in the Army. They taught Sikaran, which is really the Filipino kicking art mixed with some Shotokan karate. That's all it really was. I did study a style called Danru in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It was more out of something to do, and the guy was kind of cool, and I hung out with him, and you know, it was one of those things. Then I began my MMA career after the Army. I fought with Animal House, that was my stable, and I fought in the Cage Rage organization, and that's where I did my fights. I have 3 different lines of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not for belts and all that shit, didn't care anything about them. I was training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for my MMA career. But James Klingerman, Chad Wagner, and Carlos Diaz were the 3 guys I trained, and I have their whole lines here, not really important. Kijitsu Kai Aikido, and I did train with Aikido of Oshiba. I did train with them. They are very fluffy bunny. Just honestly, they're very fluffy bunny. I did enjoy training with them. I was able to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and train with a group of them for several years. But I mainly stuck with the Kijitsu Kai system that I originally found of Aikido. I did start training ninjutsu. I did that for about a year or so. Again, no belts were involved. I didn't give a shit about belts. I wear white belts on all this shit the whole time, or no belts at all. I didn't really care. But I did train ninjutsu for a while. I had expectations of it that it did not meet. Although I will say I did enjoy the training. It just wasn't what I thought I was getting. But I did train it, mainly to train with the guy that was teaching it rather than the system itself. I do also have some Kenjutsu, Shinkage Kenjutsu, and some Aido. Again, sword arts that I was training because of the Aikido. Now that mixed with other various random crazy shit that I'd find whenever and however, rolling up the paper, that's why it's making so much noise. I basically would train whatever I could find and whatever I thought I could learn from. And that's basically, I'm very eclectic. That's basically how it is for me, even to this day. But I will say I do more teaching than I do training at this point, because there is a difference. Now, that's basically the general background. Let's see here. Notes. So I have only promoted 3 people to black belt, and that's through Aikido. Although technically it is the Zenshin Aikijitsu system. For those of you who don't know, and if you're watching this you probably do, but regardless, when I do training, white belt to black belt is strictly the Zenshin Aikijitsu's version of Aikido. It's relatively passive. I say that relatively. It's definitely meaner than Fluffy Bunny Aikido, but it's not Aikijitsu. There's no real striking, there's no punching, kicking, things like that involved. It's basically Aikido techniques done in a more realistic way than Fluffy Bunny Aikido, but not so violent that it becomes Aikijitsu. So if you can get through that, white belt to black belt, then you can get your first degree black belt, and then the Filipino Kali, Indonesian Salat, the mixture of jiu-jitsu, various jiu-jitsus and ninjutsus and stuff like that starts to creep in, and that's when it becomes punching, kicking, trapping, grappling, mean shit. So I make everybody go through the less violent and easier to adapt to before they get to the mean shit. But I've only promoted 3 people to black belt. So in 2019 I promoted 1 person, and in 2024 I promoted 2 other people. Now those are straight up going through the whole process and learning the techniques, taking the time in class to go through the whole procedures to do that. Now I've also promoted 2 people as honorary black belts. The first person that I promoted to an honorary black belt was back in 1995 when I opened up my very first dojo. I promoted my brother to 3rd degree black belt because he was supposed to help me run the school. He was going to be the promoter and instructor for the competition team, whether it was going to be karate tournaments, whether it was going to be cage fighting, whether it was going to be whatever competitions we're going to go be involved with the school was going to be involved with. He was supposed to be the director of that. But he was not really interested in that, so he didn't really fulfill that duty within the system. So, but he was promoted in 1995 as a 3rd degree black belt in the Zenshin Aikijitsu system because he was supposed to take over as director for the competition. Now, in the early mid 2020s, I take that back. Before that, in the early 2000s, probably around the time I was fighting for the title, early 2000s, I promoted my wife to 3rd degree black belt as well, as an honorary black belt. Now, there's a difference. You may say, oh, well, he promoted his wife because it's his wife. She's a badass. I'm telling you right now, Michelle Mickey Mouse Bentley is a badass. She wasn't one to get out there and physically do it. She was hampered physically from actually doing the stuff. But she had the mental skills and the ability to teach this stuff. And she was instrumental in my fight career. She was in my corner for every fight I had. She was up at the dojo helping out with the training and teaching of everybody. Many fighters from Animal House, well, we'll say this, all of them from Animal House would ask her, hey, look at this and tell me what I'm doing wrong, or hey, look at this and figure out how I can make it work better. They would go to her and ask her, and she'd sit there and watch them, and she would say, oh, okay, I see what's going on, and she would tell them, okay, do this. They'd do it, everything would be fine. So she had skills. So when I was still fighting, I promoted her to honorary third degree black belt. And the only reason it's honorary is because physically she just couldn't do the regiment that was required to actually physically do the skills. But she had the ability to see it and to instruct it, absolutely. And then in the 2020s, I promoted her to fourth degree. So she is an honorary fourth degree black belt in Zenshin Aikijitsu. Now, I do have one person that was promoted to first degree black belt posthumously. It was an older gentleman who had diabetes really bad, and honestly, and everybody knew this, he even knew it, physically he could not surpass blue belt in the Zenshin Aikijitsu system. He couldn't surpass blue belt because of physical limits he had because of illness. And everybody knew that. We all knew it. But he trained every freaking day. He was more dedicated than almost anybody else I've ever trained with, ever. He was that dedicated. And everyone knew, including him, that he would not be able to physically pass any of the regiment past the blue belt, which was about halfway. And he knew he couldn't physically do it, but he still trained, he still came up. Well, he passed away, and when he passed away, I promoted him to his first degree black belt. As a matter of fact, I gave the black belt to him at his funeral, and his family loved it. As a matter of fact, his family was arguing over who got to keep the black belt. They were very, very happy to see that, because he really dedicated himself to training. Even though he was well into his 70s and he had diabetes so bad he couldn't physically walk for most of the time. But he was one of the biggest badasses I've ever met. He was awesome. So anyway, I promoted him to black belt when he passed away. Now for myself, the Kijitsu Kai Aikido system. I'm trying to remember. I started training in around 2002. I think it was around 2002 is when I started training. It was right after, yeah, it had to have been in 2002. I started training Kijitsu Kai Aikido in 2002, and 5th of August of 06 is when I got my black belt. My first degree black belt. My second degree black belt was given to me, well, I earned it, on 10th of February of 09. The certificate's marked number 14 is the certificate number. My third degree came in the 9th of September of 2012, and that certificate is marked number 15. And then my fourth degree black belt was presented to me on the 24th of November of 2019, and that one is marked certificate number 17. There's one other person that was promoted to 4th degree black belt before me, because he still hung around the guy that was running the system, and I was not. Now, there's several people higher ranked than me in Kijitsu Kai Aikido, because I left that dojo many years ago, but still got promoted a few times after I left. But so that's my Kijitsu Kai Aikido. Now, with the Zenshin Aikijitsu, 2023/2024 is when I was really able to get my 7th degree. I don't know. In 2035, I will be time-wise, and I'm only talking about time-wise here. I won't be available for my 8th degree until 2035, and I'll be 69 years old. At this point, it's got nothing really to do with the skills that I promote myself. It's more about the skills that I promote for other people, and my teaching and my dedication to the system, more than it is about me getting better. And then it is possible that in 2047, at 81, I could possibly be promoted to 9th degree. I will say this, I'll probably be dead. It's possible. Most likely I'll be dead by then. But there are no 10th degree black belts in Zenshin Aikijitsu. There are none. 10th degree, as it is presented or promoted, is the master, the high level. You're the ultimate. Whatever. I don't think that exists, and it'll never happen to anybody, even me. No one would be promoted to 10th degree black belt because no one, in my view, can obtain that degree. Now, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I think my level is. I'll be honest. Doesn't give a rat's ass about what I think about my abilities or skills. It only matters about, can I use them? Will they work for me? Other people have views. Some people think much more highly of me than I think of myself, and some people think a lot less of my abilities than I think of them for myself. And none of it matters. None of it matters. It only matters what I can do versus what I don't do. So that's basically where we're at right now on everything. Zenshin Aikijitsu was never supposed to be about belts. It wasn't supposed to go that way. Unfortunately, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was, about 5 or 6 years ago, classes were going really well. I wasn't getting as many people as I could have gotten, because the way I think of things is not the way most people think about them, especially when you got people coming in to train a martial art. They want and expect physical representations of skill. They want that acknowledgement. A lot of people aren't in it for the same reason I've been in it for the last 47 years, which is so that I'm comfortable in a real life situation, and it just isn't going to be an issue. A lot of people like ranks. A lot of people like kata. A lot of people like doing a martial art their whole life and never physically touching another person. A lot of people like the plastic karate trophies that you get at a tournament. A lot of people like tag, you're it. A lot of people like that stuff. And I was kind of just overlooking that. I didn't care about it so I didn't care about it. But I was led, and I appreciate it, but I was led into the view that, you know, some people need that stuff. Some people want it, and if you don't present that, they won't train with you. So I kind of backed off a little bit on that, and I put a belt system, because the belt system in Zenshin Aikijitsu has not really been established more than 5 or 6 years. I mean, legitimately. I played around with it maybe about 10 years ago. I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. I said, screw that, I'm not using that. That's not how I think, so the people I train with aren't going to think that way either. Well, it's not actually true, but I had myself convinced of that. And then finally, a business martial artist was able to get it through my thick skull that it's not always about what I want, it's about what the people I'm training want. And they wanted that stuff. They wanted it. So a belt system was implemented. I can't say I regret it. It doesn't really mean much to me personally, but if I'm going to do it, I need to do it. If I'm going to do it for them, honestly, I kind of have to do it for myself. That's just the way I look at it. You know, I post videos. A lot of people, a lot of trolls on YouTube. The kind of people that, you know, probably have never done martial arts in their life, at least nothing realistic, you know, are sitting in the basement in their beanbag chair eating Cheetos in their underwear and critiquing every single thing that anybody on YouTube does. And of course, because it's not what they would do, it's wrong. And because they really don't have a clue what a real fight is, it's obviously wrong, because, oh, that won't work. I'll be honest, I've been in way more street fights than I probably should have been in. My attitude can be confrontational, and I have a tendency not to back down from shit. If I think I'm being pushed, I'll stand there. I won't back up, and I'll push back. So I've been in a lot more street. Plus, my career, my life career, involved not police work, but private and corporate law enforcement. And yeah, we were encouraged. I don't give a shit what anybody says. We were encouraged to fight. I carried handcuffs, and we used them. I would personally get into a conflict at a drop of a hat if I had the opportunity. I'm not going to lie about it. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I was one of the biggest things about me doing that job was the fact that I got to legally street fight. So I got into a lot more fights than I probably had to get into, but it gave me a perception that most people do not have. Plus, I was a professional MMA fighter, so I got to fight in cages. I did do karate tournaments in the 90s, so I've got that competition experience. I've got cage competition experience. I've been in the boxing ring. I've got boxing competition experience, and I've got street fighting experience. Just all out, you know, someone throwing a can of corn at me, getting popped in the head with a skateboard. Dude hit me in the head with a hammer once. I've got plenty of experience with street fighting. I've been attacked with knives. That never went well for them. I've been attacked with a person that had a gun. So I've had my experiences. And everything I do, in one way or another, is a direct result of that experience. So for me, it all works.